Hi, and welcome to the first episode of the new podcast that we're trying out here. Today, my first guest is going to be Ashneet Singh, one of my oldest and dearest friends that I met here in Canada about 2 to 3 years ago. Let's call him up on here, and then we can ask more questions with him.
Hey everyone. Hi man.
Hi.
Thanks for having me.
This has been very awkward.
I know.
Yes, but we're going to get into it. We're going to try to figure out what we are doing wrong and improve upon it as we go.
Yeah.
So, first off, Ashneet, introduce yourself to everyone here. Who are you? Where do you come from? What's your story?
Hey, so my name is Ashneet Singh. I come from India. I was living in New Delhi. So I came to Canada in 2022. It's been around two and a half years now. I did my studies and currently working. And that's, yeah.
Right. The agenda for the podcast today is going to be that we're going to be cooking 2 lasagnas. I've done most of the prep work with you involved in that as well. So what we're going to do now during the podcast, we're going to assemble the lasagna, make some sauces, and then eventually we're going to get everything done and get set for dinner for everyone in the house.
Yep.
Sounds good. All right. So while we're doing that, I also want to ask you some questions. So like I said, give us a deep rundown on who you are. Where do you come from? What's your history? What's your story?
Well, like I said, I come from the town of New Delhi. It's the main city in India. So not much of a story right now. The story is still going on. So
yeah, I mean, you're writing it, but let's say you're 25 years old now, give or take, right? So in the 25 years that you have experienced a lot of things, share some experiences. Like, what was the journey that led you to Canada?
Well, it was basically trying to explore not just the world, but myself as well. I know because I come from a business family in India. So I was eventually gonna just do my graduation, just go right into family business. But yeah, I wanted to try something else that I was interested in while I was studying. So I got interested in finance. And that's why I thought maybe, India might not be the best place, even though I'm not saying that India is not good, but still, when
the scale of the investments there is not as large as some of the other
exactly.
Yeah.
Whenever you think about startups or anything,
yeah, of course,
what comes to mind? It's Silicon Valley or.
See, the thing about startups startups right now in India, they're booming. You don't understand the scale at which they're going on.
I know.
The amount of people who are investing in startups, it's so crazy. Like even back when I was visiting about a few months ago, many people are just handing out like invitations to VC meetings and such. So you can go and pitch your idea, get a doc ready, and as long as your idea is good enough, even if it's in like the preliminary stages, we're just planning it. Many VCs would go ahead and give you the initial funding to get the project started. I got the same offer too, but I'm just too lazy to get anything done, I guess.
But there's also a thing that you need to think about. The startups right now in India, they're pretty much on the same business model or on the same level. You need to think about, for example, Zepto.
Yeah.
They're not doing anything different than Swiggy or Zomato.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. But the thing is, right now, if VCs, what do VCs want? They want to generate enough value for the company so that they can take their exit out at a considerable profit. So if they see right now the trend in the market in India is going that Swiggy or Zomato or something like that, it's working out. Anyone who can replicate that, maybe at a lesser cost,
yeah,
it's good. But the thing is, with Silicon Valley, for example.
Where do you think that leaves the people who are delivering those goods, the delivery partners that they call? Like, where do you think their finances go when the cost of delivery is just going lower and lower depending on the product that they're bringing over? Like, how much money do you think they can shelve? Like, how much money do you think those guys make? It's not much.
No, it's not much. And that's the thing about it. Even though they are technically considered employed under government reporting and stuff, but it's not. It's really not. For example, when I used to order from Swiggy while I was in India a few months back, so they used the delivery partner. He used to ask me if I can, pay with cash and not do Paytm and stuff.
Yeah.
Because they have a certain quota per day. So if their order value goes above 1,000 or 1,500, I think it was, they stopped receiving orders. So You can imagine if someone's doing
There's also a
1500
cap on this sort of
1500
thing.
in let's say non-cash transactions, how much would they be getting out of it? Not much. It's not much.
Not
But-
much.
But yeah,
There was this movie that like the Indian comedian Kapil Sharma starred in, Zwigato, something like that was it? It basically goes on like the turmoil that many of those delivery partners face, depending, because it's not just about the money that they get paid, it's also the way they're treated in those businesses. Many of the people are not allowed to like walk in through the main entrance, they have to go through the back door. Many of them, if they're picking up an order through a mall, like let's say from the food court or something like that, they're not allowed to go to the main entrance, they have to take the back entrance through the mall, take the service elevator up to the floor, and then they have to go. Which, I don't know, like I'm not someone who has been on the ground like personally, but that doesn't seem fair enough to me.
yeah, it's not.
I suppose it might be faster because of the service lane or something, but like at least give them the option to go through wherever they want, right? Something like that.
I know, yeah, in general, I think that's one of the things with India. Like, I don't know if that's the thing, if that's the way the things have been, and maybe they should have changed. But these kind of jobs that people do, they are not, like, I would say, respected, even though they should be.
I mean,
if just compare it to the Western countries, I mean, there is a difference there.
Oh, definitely.
But,
in India, there's a hierarchy of the kind of jobs you're going to be doing. Like most of the unemployment that you face in India is because of that particular like belief system.
Yep.
You're not going to want to go and become a sweeper because, well, A, you're not going to get paid. Well, I get that part. But like the second part is that you're going to be looked down upon by everyone in your family.
Exactly.
It's just not as welcoming as it is. I wouldn't really say welcoming would be the right word here, but it's just not as accepting of what you do for work. As long as you can put food on the table, I believe that's a respectable enough thing to do.
I do. And I think this might stem from cultural or dare I say religious thing. But yeah, no, let's not go there right now.
Yeah, let's give it 30 minutes. Okay, so I'm just gonna check if the other camera's working. Give me a second. No, it's not, of course. Okay. Right, so we are gonna make the lasagna. So let's get started on the sauce, all right?
Yeah.
So, I'm not gonna talk much during the cooking process of it. We are gonna cut most of it out, but we are gonna like put it together when the engines aren't going off or anything like that. So let's see here. Before that all gets started, I do have some questions to you. So you already answered like how come you decided to come to Canada and like your process of thinking and whatnot. Now that you are here, what has your experience been like?
I would say
Starting from your college, the people that you met, the places that you lived, how has that experience been for you all throughout? And how did that change you?
well, I would like to divide it in two things, professional as well as personal. If I talk about personal experience, it's been great. I don't think the kind of growth that I've experienced here, I would have experienced back home. Professionally, still getting there, not there, not where I want to be. So yeah, that's still in the works. But yeah, so I did 2 courses. One of them was like online, so nothing much, not really,
Not much to gain from it.
not much to gain from it, not really talking to people. Like it was basically through WhatsApp and stuff. It just do group assignments. That was all, because everyone else was also busy in their work. And obviously, since it was online, they were taking more shifts and stuff. So not much time to talk to people. But yeah, we did talk whenever we did group assignments and stuff. So it was really good to see people from so many different backgrounds. Like if I'm from a business background or stuff, there are people who have worked like 4 or 5 years and now they're here studying. So it's completely different, the things that they told me about their work back home. And it's interesting, since we're discussing why I moved here, it's also interesting to see why people with good jobs, with, let's say, more or less settled, even they wanted to move here. I don't want to say like it was a like a herd of sheep or something, but yeah, still.
I mean, you wouldn't be wrong. Like it's also a matter of like just what is the other person doing that I'm not doing, right? A lot of the things that you see in India, that kind of cultural like conditioning is just embedded in everyone. There's a lot of like you said, sheep herding. Like if you see
Yeah.
one person doing something, you also want to try it out, or at least want to do him one better.
Yep.
So that is what I believe part of the reason why so many Indians have migrated to other countries, including Canada, US, Germany now too. I've heard a lot of people in Germany are like starting to complain there as well. The UK is kind of like notorious for having a lot of Pakistani people over
I know,
there.
but that's a whole different reason for Europe. Europe's dying.
Europe is kind of dying. I kind of feel bad for those guys.
Economically speaking, Europe is dying.
Yeah, it is pretty much. Okay, that's gonna be one of the hooks on the episode. Let's see here. So we're gonna start off with olive oil. I'm not sure if I'm gonna add the voiceover for the cooking part of it all, but better than not doing anything while I'm cooking. So, do you know how to make lasagna or the sauce that we're making?
No.
Okay, we're gonna walk you through it. So first off, one thing that I want to make clear: the lasagna that we are making today, it's not going to be the traditional kind of lasagna. It's going to be an Indianized version of it with like masalas and all such things. Because in traditional lasagna, you wouldn't find onions, capsicums, and green peppers and coriander, one thing. So we're gonna basically be bastardizing it a little bit, but believe me, it does come out pretty well in the end. And we're gonna replace the protein in it too. So we're gonna be going for chicken instead of beef, which is usually what we use. So we're gonna get started here. Start off with some garlic. So olive oil, and then we use some garlic. So while this whole thing is cooking, I have some other questions. How was your residential situation when you first moved to Canada? Like, who did you go and live with, and like, how was that process like?
Yeah, so when I first came here, I moved in with you, two other guys. So we were like 4 guys living in the basement.
Yeah.
And yeah, pretty much everything that I got to know about or listen to people talk about before moving here.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was good. I've never lived in a hostel, even in a hostel or something. I've always been living at my home, so it was really new to me that living with complete strangers. But I think it's stuff happens for a reason. Let's say.
Yeah, it does.
If I wouldn't have moved there, maybe I wouldn't be doing this podcast right now. So
I know, right? So
yeah.
you always gotta look at the positive side of things.
Yeah.
All right. So now we go with the onions. I know this isn't a cooking podcast or anything, but for anyone who's actually wondering about the recipe, I kind of learned this thing, like this particular recipe from one of the places that I used to visit back home. It's closed down now. I don't know why. The food used to be always good, and back in high school, everyone used to have their birthday parties and all whatever events you have at that location. We are pretty good friends with them too, but it was known as Unplugged in Ludhiana. They closed down sadly, but like this is the recipe that I picked up from there. The first time I ever had an Indian version of lasagna was at that location.
So any particular reason for them closing down?
Oh, it was based in one of the busiest locations in Ludhiana at the time.
Oh, okay.
But now Ludhiana basically has become it has so many other options. So it was back about 6 or 7 years ago. Sarabanagar was like the it place for the city. Everyone would used to gather there, and whatever events you have, like all the posh restaurants would be over there. But eventually, like over the past few years, let's say last 2 to 3 years, many restaurants and like shopping places have moved down to the south center of like the city.
Okay.
It's been dubbed the South City area basically, which is what you would find in many other locations and cities. But they have remodeled the whole place completely. If you haven't been there, it's like going into any of like the modern plaza you would see in British Columbia or like Toronto here. You wouldn't be able to tell that you are in a part of India while you're visiting there. That's how well they have made the whole thing.
Yeah, but when it comes to these states or cities in Punjab, I've always like bypassed them.
Yeah, I mean,
right.
You originally are from Delhi, so you would probably just go to the Amritsar.
Exactly. You bypass all of those. But yeah, in recent years, I have relatives living there in Ludhiana as well as in Chandigarh. So
you had more face time there, I would imagine.
Yeah, right? And if you think about it, like we are kind of thinking about it. My dad, that he might, might shift. Yeah, might move to Chandigarh or maybe some hill station nearby. That's a kind of place he wants to live now, not Delhi.
That honestly, like my past experience in the last, like I just came back from India like about what, a month ago. Right before that, I was going around in different cities in this country too. But
Yeah,
the stark difference that you find within like the cities in the plains and the cities in like the mountains is so big now. Even like back in the day, like the air quality back even in like Punjab would be clear enough where you wouldn't really notice anything wrong with it. But nowadays, like when I went back, it was right at the cusp of like the parali burning season. So where
Yeah.
the farmers basically slash and burn the stalk of like
Yeah.
the rice husk and all that. So the air was filled with smoke, not really breathable, especially going from an AQI, which is the air quality index of a single digit from Canada, down to an
Right.
AQI, which is
Yeah.
20 times more hazardous than the limit. It was a big change. But going into the mountains, it really helped because of the higher altitude, the pollution doesn't really reach up that high.
Yeah.
It was so much better. And I understand
agree.
why your dad would want to do that too, because
Yeah.
I get it. So, next question. What's the stupidest thing you've bought from an online ad?
Oh. Okay, I'll have to think about it because I don't make stupid shopping
Yeah,
decisions.
no,
because
that's not how it
because
goes.
I don't shop much.
You don't shop much. Okay,
Yeah.
I can get behind
Yeah.
that. Yeah, I get that.
But yeah, I don't know if books count. There was this one book that I just bought it online because I had read an article from that person. So it turns out he also wrote a book.
Yeah.
It should have been like it was related to finance, but it turns out it was just technical analysis. He just used to look at charts, make patterns, and try to convince people that this strategy works. You can
Yeah.
make money. So
I've had that happen to me too.
I bought that book. So
So you basically bought an online course of something or some sorts, right?
yeah, I mean his article was good. His article was in a good, I would say a good publication, but turns out his book was not so good.
Fair point. All right. But what's your say on a lot of educators right now online where they basically post different kinds of courses for people to buy for like 50, 30, 60 bucks, whatever have you. But the people that are selling these courses, they don't have any actual knowledge on the courses that they're selling. They're basically just going in thinking, hey, it's a course that I can sell. People may just buy it. Thoughts on that?
I would say as a consumer, I would always look or research about that person because there are people who sell their courses. For example, I'm going to talk about finance because that's what I know about. So there are a lot of people who sell their courses online that have actually worked in the industry. So if they've actually worked in the industry, they have something to show for that they know what they're talking about, what they're teaching.
Yeah.
I would definitely go with the course. It's because it's basically you're getting university level education, but it's online and it's much cheaper.
That is something that internet has kind of like accomplished in the past few years, I believe. Because back, like I'd say in our high school days, there weren't there were a lot of options except for Udemy and some other websites like that,
Yeah.
where you could go and like just study any sort of topic that you want for like a really cheap price. Nowadays, that's the only thing that I can see online. Everywhere you go, you can get courses on any sort of like business that you want to start. FBA, drop shipping, how to like start your personal brand online, shit like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm doing that right now, but
I know.
that's what we're trying to understand and
Yeah.
see, what works and what not. That's the kind of age we're in, I guess. So,
And I think that's been one of the, I would say, awareness that our generation has gained probably, because even like when I was trying to find a job here when I came back from India,
yeah,
and I used to talk to people on LinkedIn. I used to do networking calls and stuff. So I think maybe a couple of years back or 4 or 5 years back before COVID, I think they would have focused more on where I studied, what I studied. I think now it's more about what I'm interested in and what have I done about it.
yeah.
I think that's been the main point.
There is a stark difference in how people used to like take in that information too, because you could be very well learned, but that's not everything that's a person
Exactly.
looking for these days.
Yeah. and that's good. That's good because I don't necessarily need to go to a university to do an MBA or do a master's.
Yeah,
Just
of course.
to show that I'm interested in something or I'm good at something. So
Yeah, of course not.
yeah,
See, I
I
totally
think
get that.
that's change and that's good.
That's a good change. That is a good change. All right, let's see. This is my first time doing a podcast, so I might forget the questions. So I'm
fine.
gonna take some help. Okay. So ever since that you've landed within Canada, what is the biggest achievement that you're so proud of?
I would say achievement in terms of what are we talking
Anything,
about?
like what's something that really fills you up with a warm feeling, knowing that you were able to accomplish that?
I would say becoming the kind of person, like not totally, but still to a certain degree, becoming the kind of person that I always looked up to when I was a kid. Like I used to watch all these, you get reels and stuff on Instagram that I used to read a lot about people who have achieved a lot in their life,
Yeah.
be it in finance or be it in sports, for example. I'm a big fan of Ronaldo, so
He's
I think
He's the GOAT.
yeah, I think so when you look at his life, when you look at his story, you can't necessarily compare him to Messi because he's a natural talent. Maybe we could say Ronaldo is a natural talent, but I think most of his success has come from
His hard work.
his determination. So I think the efforts that I've put in here that I know I wouldn't have put in India.
Otherwise.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know myself. And yeah, so whatever I've done so far, the growth I've had personally, I think that's one thing that I'm proud of. It's still a work in progress, but yeah,
Yeah, that's something we're proud of. We improve every day, don't we?
1% better every day.
1% better every day.
James Clear,
James
Atomic
Clear.
Habits.
Yeah, I have read some of it.
Yeah. What about you?
What about me? All right, let's see. I mean, my answer kind of has a lot of contrast to what you just said. It's more about just improving yourself slowly and steadily. But Canada was the catalyst to that for me.
Yep.
Because I believe that's a catalyst for a lot of people that do move outside of their homes. It doesn't even matter if you're going to Canada, if you're going just to a different city within the same country
Exactly,
that you
yeah.
live in. Just getting out of your parents' house and trying to like live by yourself, where you have to take care of everything that you are doing. Because for a lot of people that I know, or even myself in some cases, there were many cases that I found like moving here. I had a long time before I was able to clean dishes. It took me a long time. They're too yucky, man. Like, I don't know how to say that. Yeah, so it took me a long time, and I know that's true for a lot of people. You see a lot of people that come in new. Now that I've been here for 6 years, I've had a lot of newcomers come in and have to treat and like help them out and whatnot. There's a stark difference in how you start to see the world when you live with your parents and when you are living by yourself. It's not just even about finances, to be honest. It's more or less about like when you start taking care of yourself, you start to value everything that's being done around you more. So when I'm cooking my food, I'm also cooking for like everyone that I live with, right? That's a luxury those guys have, right? I like that. But I also understand like a lot of those guys clean up when I'm not around. So that's something that I appreciate. Like you understand like how closely you can live with someone else until they start pulling up their weight and something like that. That's something I learned here, because like back in India, you have servants to do
Exactly.
everything for you.
Yeah.
So you never even give a thought to these sort of things. A lot of the people that I live with, like you used to live with one of the friends that I'm talking about too. Like he used to be really like slow in terms of like when he's gonna clean up dishes and all that stuff. But like the main reason that he gave us was the same that as I'm laying out right now. Oh, we have people back home that used to do this for me. I don't need to do that. But that's a difference that I feel I learned. So the biggest accomplishment that I feel is that I have become more humble as to what goes on around me. So I'd never take anything for granted. Like even the small things. As long as I have a roof over my head, I have food to eat, I can go back home with a smiling face. That's something that I can feel like proud with. Of course, I need more. Of course, I need more. Of course, I have a Nissan GTR that I want to buy. So
Yeah.
I have to work and get that money for that. Maybe this is the start. Maybe who knows?
Maybe it is. I hope it is.
You gotta document your journey, you know? I am too lazy to write the diary, so. So, how are you feeling so far? Comfortable?
Yeah.
Do you think your conversation
it's-
is flowing?
I think it's not the first time that we're talking about this. It's just it's different
It's different that we have a camera now.
It's different that we're in front of a camera and it's purely English right now. But
I mean, like
we
I said,
always do.
we can obviously delve into Hindi every once in a while. That's fine. I know most of the
fine,
people
but-
viewing this are going to be viewing this in Hindi or Punjabi. It's mostly my masi, hello, something like that to start off with. But
No, but like we were talking the other day, like when we started discussing about that.
oh yeah, we have
what
sort
we were
of,
talking about.
we have conversation like this all the time.
Yeah.
I am aware. Like it's more or less the first time we're gonna have one camera in front of us now.
Yeah.
Well, two, but we're gonna figure out how I'm gonna get that working again. But let's see. All right, this question might be a little vague or something that you might have some trouble answering, but I'm gonna ask anyways. What's a weirdly specific goal in life that you have? A weirdly specific goal, something that only you think you're looking to do.
Oh.
It could be spiritual, like career focused, anything on your personal like life, anything that you want to achieve that may not be applicable to everyone else. Believe me, the questions get much harder. going
Yeah,
forward.
no, that's fine. That's good. Makes me think. I like to think. I would say in terms of, career or what kind of work that I want to do in the future.
Yeah.
I think so. So when you think about the private equity industry, what comes to your mind first? If you know.
I know a slight bit, enough to have a conversation.
So what's the first thing that comes to your mind in terms of the kind of people that work there?
Oh, I'm thinking rich white people.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
That and people who wanna generate value. So value is defined as you buy a company for let's say $1 million.
Yeah.
You cut costs. You lay off people.
Yeah.
You try to squeeze out every cent or every dollar of profit.
Mm-hmm.
And then suppose you end up selling it for 2 million. So you made $1 million,
Yeah.
right? But I feel there is a different way to do that, to achieve the same thing, but it doesn't necessarily involve laying off people, cost cutting to the bare minimum.
Yeah.
I would say it makes the business efficient, but that's not the same thing. There are two sides to the coin, right?
Yeah.
There's one side of cutting costs and laying off people, but there's also the other side of actually growing the business in terms of sales and revenue, so that it can afford those people and those added costs.
Yeah.
So, I think my view in terms of that's specific to this industry and how I think it should work and how it could work in a better way is to make it work in that way, not just focus on
I'm sorry, I don't
value
follow.
generated in a short period of time.
Oh, so you're talking
Focus
about
on
long-term growth
long-term,
and where everyone gets away in a better way. Yeah.
Yeah, because there's a reason those people are working in that company. Maybe they are invested in the vision that company has for itself. So
Yeah, of course. You want to make
cannot
sure.
just like, it's okay to lay off people, but it's not entirely ethical if it's just for maybe you lay off 50% of the workforce in a year just to generate a significant profit in 1 year. So I think that would be a weirdly
So
specific.
you're
goal
the
that-
type of person who would look out for social welfare too. That's part of your ethics.
Yeah, it is.
I respect that. So speaking of ethics, where do you think you learned yours from?
It's
Where
Well,
we all learn moral education and moral values back in school, like kindergarten.
no,
whatnot.
definitely not school.
But it's different in school. But we also have other facets of life that lead us to these conclusions and like these things that we think about. What was the most significant one for you?
I would say
I don't want to
three.
name anything to give you an idea. I
Yeah.
just want to know how you think.
I would say there are three different avenues where I have learned or built my ethics from. The first would be, I would say, my family.
Right.
They played a big part in building up the way or shaping the way I think. Uh, it's been like it's a combination of what my mom and my dad are like.
Yeah.
My dad's more the logical thinker.
Uh-huh.
He's more towards that side. My mom is more thinking more about others, caring about others. So I mean that's in general how fathers and mothers are like. But
yeah.
I think that's played a big part in how I think about stuff, how I think about my relationships, how I think about situations. Other than my family, the second thing would be, I would say, stoicism.
Stoicism. Aha.
Yeah.
I like that answer. Like a lot of people won't answer that like in the circles that I unfortunately go out with, but
I'm not a hardcore stoic or stuff, but it's just interesting the stuff that they have in there.
it is. Okay, what's your
Meditations-
definition of stoicism? Like if you had to define stoicism, what would it be? Just to explain it to everyone.
I would say it's just a collection of moral virtues that have been like accumulated by some people who were in such a
Marcus
power,
Aurelius.
in such
he
a
was the
power.
originator of stoicism.
Like he was an emperor. He could have done anything. He could have killed anyone. He could have bought anything. He could have done everything that he wanted to. No one would have questioned him. No one would even bat an eye. But
yeah.
that's the thing about him, that even though he could, he didn't.
He chose the higher
He
path.
chose to be he just chose to be a better person. That's and
He
I
gave
think
a lot of his credits for that to his father and a person in his father's court. I actually like started reading meditations from Marcus Aurelius. I still have the the manuscript on my tablet that I read every once in a while. That guy, he meditations are a book of diaries, like a lot of diaries that he used to write in his own words and everything. So it's not like an actual book you're reading. You're basically going through his personal life and thoughts when you read those. But the guy generally seemed like any person that I know otherwise. He's not he didn't give off a vibe of an emperor. He was a chill dude. I like that.
he was. Yeah, so that's the second one.
Right.
Final one would be, I know you might not relate to this, but
I know which one's coming.
yeah,
I know what's
it's-
coming.
Yeah, it's
That was the first guess for me. Like if I had to guess what
no.
taught you
There's
those ethics.
there's no hierarchy, but
Right. So for the
It's-
viewers, what is it?
yeah, it's my religion. I wouldn't say I would say it's just the knowledge that's in there.
Okay, for the viewers who don't know where we are from and stuff,
Yeah.
what's your religion?
So I'm a Sikh. That's
Is it a Sikh or Sikh?
I would say Sikh, but for our white friends out there, it's
White friends, yeah.
Sikh.
Yeah. So Sikhism,
Again, I think there's a lot of overlap between what's in Stoicism and what's in our religious scriptures.
give me an example. I know what you're talking about, so I have a small idea, but walk us through it. What do you think are the same things that you can find in there?
Okay, I think we can start with saying worrying about
Boring?
the future.
Worrying about the future. Okay. Yeah. None of
So-
both don't care about that.
Yeah,
I agree.
that would be one. The other would be, I would say, staying humble, being humble. That's the second thing that I think
It's more of a cause, it's more of a side effect of stoicism, not rather than the cause of it. Stoicism, the way that I see it, is basically just it's an understanding that life is just gonna come at you no matter what you try to do. Think of life as a river. It's just gonna keep going. You're an ant. You can either go with it or you can try to resist it.
Yep.
If you go with it, your journey is gonna be much easier, and you're gonna go to places you couldn't even think before.
You're gonna land at the same place.
Yeah.
With
So
the risk
those
between.
that river is basically the flood of emotion that you can feel in the life that you have to live. You can try to go about your life with anger, worry. You can try to like control everything that happens within your life, but we all know that never happens.
Yeah.
So that's what stoicism teaches us. Just let life go the way that it goes. You just have enough control over your own emotions that you can handle everything, and you just face it the way it comes at you. That's what stoicism is, and that's what I like about it so much. It doesn't talk about like becoming a robot, which a lot of people feel that's what it's about.
No, it's not.
It's not about keeping a straight face even when you do want to laugh. It's just about when you know things are not going your way, you have the courage to face them head on. That's what stoicism is to me, at least.
Yeah. No, that's right. It's about being at peace at
It's
whatever.
about being at peace with what you have and what you can do.
It's about being at peace with whatever is.
Yeah, exactly.
Whatever is, not what could have been, not what will be.
Exactly. What is what you can fucking care about. Sorry for swearing. Sorry, kids.
It's fine.
Okay, so what's next? Oh, I forgot to mention what I've been doing here. So I had some tomatoes to the chicken and like the other vegetables that we were cooking. I had some parsley, ginger. I know Italians, but ginger and some green chilies to just balance out everything. It's almost done, so it shouldn't take that long for everything to be put together now. So once the sauce is cooked, we're gonna put together lasagnas. What we're gonna do in the meantime is we're gonna put the oven on preheat. 420, yes. Speaking of 420,
Okay.
speaking of 420, so we live in Canada where weed is legal. What are your thoughts on that?
It's fine if it's legal. It is what it is.
So what do you think like the economic like repercussions are for legalizing weed, and how do you think the government benefits it from it? Like what are the socioeconomic like fallouts because of it being legal?
I don't think the government cares about any social economic.
No, they do.
No,
They have drug sites open right next to play school, so I don't know what to tell you about that, but they do care enough.
If they would have, they won't have legalized it. That's what I think.
They wouldn't have legalized it?
No.
Fine. What makes you say that?
Well, on one hand, you have all these sites and everything to help people get off it. On the other hand, you have businesses that
Are profiting over it.
profiting over it. There are places in almost every plaza right now. So I don't, it's a paradox. It's a paradox.
But isn't it the same thing in India where you have Delhi and so many like liquor stores open everywhere because the government wants to tax them like crazy, and they're not going to close them down for the same reason because they get so much tax money from it.
Exactly. That it is what. Yeah, the government's there to make money no matter what.
Yeah.
They're there to make money no matter what. I think a very small portion would go towards actually developing the countries. A lot of it goes in politicians' pockets. That's just how it is.
That it does.
That's how it's been. That's how I think it will always be. But
Okay, let's say so you have studied finance. You know what money laundering is and such, right? So in your like understanding or experience, whatever have you, like how would you say like those politicians maybe turn the black money that they have through tax and into white and stuff like that? How do they money launder themselves?
for them,
This is just
I think,
speculative, by the way. We're not saying anyone does that, but I'm just like
No,
very curious.
I think for them the biggest avenue would be real estate. That's what I think. Real estate and election campaigns. That's where I think, in my knowledge, this happens. Because in real estate, it's different here. Obviously, in India, it's a lot different story. The way you purchase real estate is a lot different than the way you purchase in these Western countries. Whatever you pay, the price, it's not non-cash. It's not white.
Oh yeah, it's not white.
Yeah. So, if, for example, let's say you purchase a property in New Delhi,
Yeah.
you purchase a property for, let's say, 5 crores,
Yeah.
right? You would pay, I would say, right now, since GST, HST has come in, I think you would pay around 1 crore in white.
Mhm.
The rest of the 4 crores you can pay in cash. Now, there's no reason that cash has to be accounted for.
Yeah.
So, if
A lot of
suppose
places things could go wrong at that point.
You use that 4 crore in black money or whatever it's right in cash. You buy the property. The property in 1 or let's say 2 to 3 years, it goes to 7.5 crores from 5, right? So when you go to sell it, what's the amount of and if so politicians also know what kind of area is coming up, what kind of area will become maybe commercial, where there's a lot of circle rate, there's
They
a
have
lot
a
of
lot
white
of leeway and a lot of
and,
insider knowledge for that.
yeah,
sort of thing.
and there's a lot of white money required in those kind of properties, right?
Yeah.
So if, for example, they know this area is coming up, this might have a higher circle rate, there would be a higher percentage of white money that they'll get. They could purchase, that's 5 crore property, 4 crore with cash, 7.5 crore property now. Now let's say the circle rate in 2 to 3 years is something that now you need 6 crores out of 7.5 in white to buy it.
Yeah,
so if
you need a bigger percentage of
if they
money,
go ahead and sell it, they've basically converted their 4 crore cash into white in
basically.
2 to 3 years.
Yeah, that's
I think
one way of doing it. There's a lot of,
that's one thing in India.
Yeah.
The other thing is election campaign. Election campaign, I think, is common for anywhere you go in the world. It's the same thing. You have big businesses.
But I don't know if everywhere in the world you can go and find quarters of whiskey being given out to voters.
Yeah, that's.
I mean, maybe in some other smaller countries, developing countries, I'd say, but Canada, I don't think they've given out Crown Royals yet.
Oh, so yeah, because there is, I would say that's where the difference comes in terms of how the regulatory authorities work in both of these countries. There is base in India right now, they provide alcohol right in front of it doesn't matter if there's police or whoever it is. They can just give it right away. They have basically started, I think in last 2 weeks, basically started handing out cash to women in New Delhi because there's elections in New Delhi.
Oh yeah, they just want more people to show up in rallies and create a perception of
They started handing out cash basically to people so that's basically buying their votes.
I mean, that's been going on for a minute, man. It's something that I haven't personally experienced myself. I have never been given money to vote. I wasn't old enough back then, but I've seen I've seen a lot of examples of these with people that I have known that have done these things, and a lot of people that in general just tell me stories of how they've seen this happening too. It's a pretty common practice in India, at least from what we can tell. That's where a lot of the black money goes, because it's all cash, right? So you can just throw it at people and then get it from there.
Exactly. It's the same thing in these countries as well, in Western countries, even though there are no cash handouts and everything, but the illegal money is getting converted to legal money by spending on, if for example there's a businessman who's supporting a particular candidate, he's funding their campaign. So there's no accounting. That's what I think, that there's no particular accounting in terms of where did that money come from, where was it put to.
There's no trail for that money.
I think at least for us common people, all that you hear about is that this guy donated $1 million to this candidate's campaign. I don't think there's any explanation to where.
You only hear the fallout of whatever transaction that happened, never the origin of it. That is true. That's a good observation on your end too. So I'm gonna move a little towards personal questions from political, because most people are not gonna be staying around for that. But would you say that you're self-aware? If you had to explain to me what and who you are as a person, do you think you can give that answer to me in an abstract manner?
I would say it's still.
I'm not gonna ask you to rate yourself out of 1 to 10.
No.
That's just a weird thing to do. But if you had to
I would still
explain to me who you are,
I would still give it 10. But that's.
All right, try to explain it to me then.
Okay, so let's come back to the question of being self-aware first. I think it's still a self-discovery that's still in the works.
It's always going on.
I think it will always be.
It's always going on. You never know yourself completely until you're dead.
So I think as far as what I've experienced, I think what is self-awareness? It is, in my opinion, that if there's a certain kind of situation or certain thing that's going on, how you would react, what is right and wrong for you. So up until this point, if from whatever I've experienced, I think if I've learned from those experiences, I think I am self-aware. As long as you learn from your experiences.
Yeah, that's a big part of it. You just learn. And as long as you're learning, you're also learning what it is that you learn.
Because being completely self-aware would be basically saying to know everything.
You already know everything about yourself. And no one knows that. No one knows themselves like that. That's at least what I think. They always think they do. And people who say that they're 100% self-aware are stupid. Yes, I said it.
It's true.
It is true. So, what else? Tell me about your year, like 2024. How was that for you?
2024 was good. Even
the generic answer.
It was really good.
You can do better than that.
I am coming to it. I just want to give it one word first. But yeah, it's been really good. Professionally, personally, both. I was in India for 5 months. 5 months in 2024.
I remember that part.
In 2024, and I gave my CFA level 1 exam there.
Yeah.
I attended my mom and dad's 25th wedding anniversary.
Congratulations on that.
Yeah, thank you. So that was really good. I'm glad I was there for it. Otherwise, I don't know if they would have even gone ahead with the celebration and stuff.
That's the thing about Indian parents. No, they don't want to spend money on themselves.
No, I think it's also because they didn't want to do that. If I wouldn't have been there, they wouldn't have done it.
That's another thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I got a new job when I came here.
Oh yeah, you did.
Much better than the shithole I was in before. So yeah.
Right. So jobs-wise, like, walk us through all the jobs that you've had in Canada so far. What was your experience with them? This is gonna be fun.
Okay. You can basically count the number of jobs I've had in.
Yeah, I mean, we can all count our jobs. We're only 25 years old. We're not like 60.
No, but still, it depends on where, like, people have done a lot of jobs that.
The significant ones. I don't count 2 days working at a hostel as a job, you know?
But still, like, people do, like, if they work at Walmart or if they're working at Amazon or.
For a long time, they work, then yes. 2 days, I don't count.
I would say I was extremely lucky.
Yeah.
In terms of that.
Yeah.
I had friends who were here before me. They were working at much better places than where I would have gone otherwise. Because I actually started as a cashier at Freshco.
Yes. I forgot about that.
I did.
Oh, we get it. All right. Cool.
Okay, so I did 3 days of training as a cashier at Freshco.
Yeah.
And then I quit my job there.
That's why I said I don't count 2 days.
Yeah, even I don't count it. So I was lucky in terms of that.
Yeah.
That I got a good job that was in my field. So it was a CPA firm. So that was the first job that I had, and that was the first experience that I ever had of doing any job. I didn't do any of that stuff in India. I didn't even think about doing any of that stuff in India. So it was a new experience for me. But I think one of the most important things that I learned there was how whatever we study, whatever we read, how we talk to people, how we negotiate with people, how we try to balance priorities, balance work or stuff. Everything I would say I learned there, even though it's a separate thing that whoever I had as my manager and my senior turned out to be shit. That's a different story. But I still learned.
It's a family channel, you know.
And
I'm kidding.
I just said shit.
I'm kidding. Go ahead.
Even though it was not the best environment, I would say, but still, since I had friends over there, we were friends that were working there, so
you could get by. You know, like the friendships that you make under a strict regime is probably the best one.
And I think I saw the worst of how these things can go. So
like how bad a management team can be. Yeah.
So in terms of owning my business one day, I I know now what kind of mistakes I don't want to make,
What kind of person
what
you
kind
don't want to
of
be.
person I want to be, what kind of treatment I want to give to my employees.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
course.
yeah.
Good. At least that like realization came to you sooner than most.
Exactly.
people.
That's why I'm saying it's good. Even
Yeah.
that place was not the best, but
It still gave you something that you can take with you.
exactly.
See, that's also about like perspective. A lot of people that would be in your position would just hate on it for no other reason, because that's the only thing they know what to do with.
Yeah, and I think that's another big part is when this realization kicks in.
Yeah.
It didn't kick in when I was working there.
Yeah.
It didn't.
It comes in late. Yeah, it does come in late.
That time while I was there, that was horrible. there was no realization like that. It's only when it ended,
Yeah.
when I quit finally, that's when it dawned upon me. And also when I got this new job at this new place, so that's when it dawned upon me like what I had already gone through,
Yeah.
how things were vastly different at this new place,
Yeah.
and yeah, how like it was such a stark difference of how people can be and are in general.
Yeah.
So that's good. It's good to see both sides of the coin at an early age. So that's good. I know people who wouldn't have
Experienced that if they had just been in India, or with their
India,
family.
or
Yeah.
let's say
They just
even,
never step out.
yeah, even if they're 40, they're still like 20
Oh yeah.
20
I mean,
years
if you're
old.
talking about like a person who is like that and is in his 40s, then you're already talking about that person like in the story within it. But like, yeah, I agree. A lot of people go into their 50s and 60s without ever having the experiences that you would want to have to understand like what are the right things to do and what are not the right things to do in like a socio-economic environment. And also like empathy is something that I feel a lot of people don't have lately. It's just cool to not care.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just cool not to care lately. So that's something that I really don't like about like the modern kids. Like not so much as the modern kids, because I know a lot of them are still pretty good, but there's a lot of work that can be done on that. But for that, they need awareness, and for that, they need acceptance first.
That, and they need exposure. And I think
Exposure
that's,
makes you accept things even when you don't want to accept them. That's what I feel.
no, I think what any of us needs to have first is, it could be based on experiences, it could be based on something you learn from some book or some podcast, some video, whatever. It can be whatever. But if you have a certain, let's say, a certain list or a certain checklist of moral values, let's say moral values or principles, let's say, we can call it whatever. But once you know, or once you build that thing around you in your mind, even if you have like the worst of experiences, you'll know what's right, what's not.
You did not answer my question.
What?
What are the principles that guide your moral compass? That's the question I asked.
Okay. It changes. I would say it changes situation to situation. I wouldn't. There could be.
I gotta say something about that.
No. It's
your
that,
principles shouldn't change.
No, it's like it depends on the situation. Like which principles are being applied. If there's a new situation and my existing principles don't apply, then what do I do?
Right. Like,
that doesn't mean I froze there. That doesn't mean I freeze there.
Let me give you a situation, right? Let me give you a situation and see if, like how your moral compass would guide you through it. You have an old friend that has hit you up. They just want to meet up and get to know you again and stuff like that. But they went out of the way to like create that first point of contact so they can like rekindle the friendship that you had over the years. Like someone that was really close to you back in the day. You already made an agreement with that person to go and meet, like let's say tomorrow, right? Then suddenly something comes up and you have to cancel on them. Something, let's say a newer friend of yours that you really like hanging out with is calling you out for like something really urgent and you have to go there. Or let's say if you have a work thing that just popped up that needs you to be there and you have to cancel on your friend. How would you deal with a situation like that? What kind of like principles you would apply to make that decision? I don't want to go too deep.
No, that's fine.
That's why this is a really like simple question, but I want to see what your answer is.
Okay, so I would say if I've made the commitment to meet them. If I've already made the commitment to meet them at a particular time, I wouldn't really be bothered by this newer guy or girl, whatever it is. If they suddenly pop up or if suddenly work pops up, I think I'll try to work around. And yeah, I would.
What
I would do good on my
what would
commitment.
lead you to make that decision that you still would go to meet that old friend? What's that principle in your head that you don't want to commitment, right?
Staying true to your word, whatever you
Keeping
said.
your promises. That's a big one for me. That's probably my top 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So again, that's the thing. If there was a situation that where my existing ones don't apply, I would have to obviously think about it.
Good conversation so far. But now that we have finished all the base prep for our lasagna, we're now going to put it together.
Yeah.
We're going to do it quick because the podcast has gone for about an hour now, I think. So let's get this started. Do you know the basics of like preparing a lasagna or no?
No, I don't. I'm here to learn. So
it's going to be pretty easy. So it's red pasta, white pasta.
Oh,
Put some
okay.
red. So it's basically just we're layering the lasagna that we have cooked over here. Okay, so red sauce. We can be generous with it. I did make plenty of it. And we gotta keep our protein intake high. We're still young.
Yep.
That's bad commentary, but we're gonna ignore that. Okay, so lasagna. You can do the same thing with yours here.
Okay. Sure.
We do this together.
Crack it.
While we're doing this, we can keep the conversation going.
Okay.
So I'm gonna start you off with something easy again.
Yeah.
What are some of the songs that are on your playlist lately? Give me like your top 3, the songs that have been on repeat, something that you've been listening to constantly, can't get enough, something like that.
Oh, can it be something I listen today?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So
Go crazy.
there's so Shub released his new album, so that's one of the songs
Yeah.
that's going on.
Which one of his songs are you listening to?
Routines.
Routine is good. I like Routine.
Yep. That's the one that's been nonstop for today.
Yeah.
But other than that, I would say Travis Scott's. What was the name of the song? Not Fiend. Definitely not Fiend.
Uncultured people.
No, it's a good song, but it's just not repeatable for me. I cannot just go on and on with that song. So
Of course.
yeah.
Alright, so this here is the white bechamel sauce. I made it with some tweaks. Like for the most part, it is kind of
was fine.
authentic here. Yeah, more than
Okay.
enough. So I did not make it like completely the Italian way, but it is pretty close. So it's basically made with some butter, some flour, milk. You basically form a roux with the butter and the flour, and then eventually you add whatever toppings you want, really. Italians don't add much. It's mostly just some chili flakes and maybe some oregano at most, if they add any at all. But we can go crazy. It's an Indian version. I just did not put any garam masala in it.
Should be like this or like this.
That's totally up to you. It doesn't really have any specific way on how you lay it down. But make sure you lather it with enough sauce, because it is gonna cook in the thing too.
Yeah, since we're like talking about Italian food and making Italian food, I find it quite
Italians won't agree, but
interesting.
yeah.
I mean, yeah, exactly. That's what I was coming to. Like, I've seen reels online that people
Oh yeah,
try to
rage baiting.
yeah try to fuck with Italians by
I mean, yeah.
doing stuff that's
look,
traditionally not done. But I like how
the innovation is
passionate they are about how stuff has to be done
I like that too,
in terms
somewhat.
of the cooking. Yeah,
But like, I do like my Indian pizza.
yeah. Oh, so after this, that one.
So yeah, so you go another layer of sauce. This one first, because this would
one
be
first, right?
difficult to spread.
Yeah.
Once that's on, you put some of this, some cheese, and then you repeat the process of putting another lasagna on top. So, let's see, what else can we ask you? So, Trudeau resigned.
Yeah.
Trudeau resigned. How are you feeling about that?
Feel
Given that
great.
you're an international student,
I feel great.
not so much a student anymore.
Even-
You're on work permit, but like, what are your feelings on the whole
I think,
process?
see, from my point of view, Canada will always need immigrants.
Yes.
It's a different thing about the current, the past regime that was going on,
Yeah.
which is currently going on. It's just a matter of when the elections kick in. But
Yeah.
the thing is, I think for Canada, immigration has always done good, but there's a certain degree of control that they had before about the kind of people they want to bring in,
Yeah.
about the kind of people that were actually coming in. I think that changed in
Yeah.
COVID when they got desperate for money.
Yeah.
I think the government, even though every government around the world did handouts and stuff, but maybe they overshot it or whatever.
They did.
But I think that's the reason they got desperate about getting in anyone they could. Because they know international students
would hop
coming
on the
in,
opportunity to come in.
and international students coming in just means more revenue,
Cheaper labor for them.
cheaper labor, more revenue, more tax, whatever you call it. So it basically, I would say it basically balanced out all the cash out payments that they made during COVID.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I think happened. And plus, I think maybe Trudeau was trying to solidify his voting base.
I don't know if that's so much like, because I know a lot of Punjabis that are just as.
No, I agree. But
Wait, I said
still,
Punjabis. This is controversial, guys, but yes, there are a lot of Punjabi students out in Canada.
no, but the thing is, even with the refugees,
Yeah.
who do you think the refugees will vote for? The guy who bought them.
Do you think refugees are actually refugees when they're coming into Canada? Because I know something about that. You probably don't.
Yeah, I know.
What do you know?
I don't think so. Let's just say I know.
What do you know? I want to know. I think they want to know.
Well, I don't want to get into the. I don't want to get into the legalities stuff. So I'm not going ahead with it.
Pussy, what?
It's just things you hear and that's all. Nothing really specific.
I'll tell you what I've seen.
Yeah.
So I used to work at Rogers at a sales position, right? So I was dealing with a lot of people coming into the country because everyone needs a new phone number when you're here, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'll put some more sauce on there because it doesn't seem enough to me. Like I said, lather it up. You don't need to worry about it running out. We have plenty. Plus, the more sauce you have, the tastier this is going to be. Right, go ahead. So yeah, working at Rogers, I did see a lot of people coming in with the refugee permits. Now, most of these people were from the same city that I live in.
Okay.
So yeah, I don't recall my city being a war zone, my city not having enough food for the people that live there, my city not having the economic outlets that you need to make more money.
Yeah.
Like I just said, like Ludhiana, the city that I grew up in, has advanced a lot over the last few years. Like you wouldn't be able to recognize Ludhiana from 5 years ago and the Ludhiana you see today. Like Diljit Dosanjh had his last concert of the Indian leg in Ludhiana.
Oh yeah.
And they organized the whole thing within a week.
Wow.
So that's how quickly Ludhiana is able to catch up to like events of that size, where even Chandigarh and like other cities are like having struggles with.
Yeah.
So a lot of people that I did meet at my job there were from Ludhiana, Moga, like cities around, near and around Punjab that I had gone to personally, have experienced personally, and there's nothing refugee-like that you would want to have in them. So a lot of the people that are coming into Canada now, like via the refugee status, are also kind of fooling the system. With no other way of putting it.
Yeah. No, I think there's also an interesting point. I was talking with my friend who's currently in India, so he's a childhood friend of mine.
Yeah.
So that's what he was saying. Like, all these people coming on refugee status and something like whatever it is. The thing is, if you think about the kind of freedom you get in India, even though you may be minority,
or you make less money.
There's a separate thing going on that some people or government or whatever is going on that it's discriminating or stuff. That's
just another tangent that they
that's-
usually go on to get more
yeah.
sympathy.
Let's not get into that political stuff. But the thing he was talking about was that if, for example, there's a festival of a particular religion,
Yeah.
they don't have any kind of restrictions on
Yeah.
the way they can celebrate, on the way where they celebrate,
Yeah.
or the fact that the roads have to be blocked
Yeah.
on a certain path. Just
Oh,
so
there's
they
no
can celebrate.
permits required for any of that, so you can just do it like
Permits,
as.
and there's total freedom. So I don't know who's out here in the immigration department who's thinking that, oh yeah, these refugee statuses could be genuine,
Yeah.
because there is a lot of freedom in terms of those things
What you can
in
do.
India.
Yeah. Like, honestly, like, this is gonna be something that not a lot of people may agree with, or maybe they will. But the thing is, most of the refugee cases that we see coming in from India, like, not including any of the parts that are close to the borders of Kashmir or like maybe Pakistan, like most of the ones that are coming in from cities like Ludhiana, Moga, Tarantaran, Amritsar,
Yeah.
they're just like fooling the system in order to get into Canada and just
Exactly.
abuse the resources here. And being a refugee, there are certain benefits that you get that you don't get as a temporary resident like you and me.
Yeah.
We're coming in, we're paying taxes, we're getting the tax cuts, we're doing everything that we have to as a responsible, like not citizen, but a resident here.
Yeah.
But those guys don't have to do that. They get tax refunds. Especially, did you hear about the new Syrian refugee
Yeah.
that Mark Miller did?
Yeah.
So what they're basically saying is that every refugee coming in from Gaza is going to be handed out $1,500.
Directly from our taxes.
Yeah, basically. And not to count like the amount of taxes that go into Ukraine and some other war zones.
Yep. I would say that's just to stay in the good books of the US.
US don't care. US ran out of there, man.
No. The thing is that I think Canada is only doing it because the US was doing it.
The US left.
If the US had not even started funding anything in Ukraine,
Yeah.
I genuinely believe Canada wouldn't have done the same.
Do you think they're just like that situation where you have said yes before and you can't back out anymore?
Yeah, it could be.
I don't think so. I think this is just them playing stupid. Because I don't see a lot of people that actually agree with like the way that the government has been going and running about things for the last few months. It's not just because like Trudeau resigned or anything like that, or was about to resign, or any rumors like that. Trudeau has been on the decline for a lot of years now.
Yeah, I agree.
And that's because of his policies that he's been putting out, and
Yeah.
a lot of the other things that he says on the media. Like the stupidest thing that I heard, honestly, this is gonna get me cancelled, but I don't care. Actually, I am gonna care because it's my first video. But you remember the clip where Justin Trudeau was talking about the LGBT community, and then he messed up on the whole like version of saying everything?
Really?
Yeah.
I don't remember something.
I'll try to add that clip right in this video just for everyone to watch.
Yeah.
But it's a funny clip. And like things like that make you wonder if this is the kind of person that should be running a country which supports so many foreign internationals and its local citizens. And remember, like back when Trudeau won, it was by landslide victory.
Yep.
The celebration across Canada was huge. But something did happen that fucked everything up. And that is...
I think for the most part, people right now are just frustrated.
Yeah,
It's
they just
just-
need a scapegoat, I guess.
I don't think there is anything that you can do to change that as a leader, as a political person. Once people have decided
They don't like you anymore.
you're gonna need some very drastic change in policies and stuff
Yeah.
just to win them back. And it's difficult. It's really difficult because
Especially when you
even-
have a candidate in your opposition like Pierre Poilievre, which is just...
Yeah,
He's
and-
brutal. I love that dude.
and there's also the stuff that you're just a leader. You are the prime minister, you are the face, right?
Yeah.
But there are people in the party that build you up.
Yeah.
They are the reason you are the prime minister. So it's not just about the person itself who's the prime minister. It's also about the people who are with him.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. I think this podcast can qualify as a political podcast.
I mean, we do talk a lot about that stuff. Like, this is something that I don't try to talk about. Politics is not something that I usually like try to divulge myself into too much, because in general cases, it's just a headache.
Yeah, and I don't think that that's something that should impact you much, other than the policies that they're bringing in, which of course is in general, like obviously they take into account everyone,
Yeah,
but
they don't, man. They just care about the votes.
I know.
That's fair too. I mean, see, many of the people that are watching this channel, like video right now, or maybe in the future, if anyone does watch it at all, are gonna be thinking like, these are two international students. If you're thinking, I'm gonna plant the seed right now, like, we're two international students with uncertain futures because we don't know where we land in terms of like where we're gonna be once our work permits expire, given the immigration policy being like tightened up and all that stuff. What are your thoughts? Like, what do you wanna do if in a situation where your work permit is not extended or you don't get a PR? What would you do in that situation? Like, we're talking shit about the prime ministers and their policies, being people from like different countries with not knowing we're going to be in the country or not.
Yeah.
Like, but what happens to you when you can't live in this country anymore?
I go back home.
And do what?
I don't care. I go back home. It's, see, there's only a certain, the place where you live, where you're living, or where you work, it only matters to a certain extent. I know it's a big part when you think about, you know, I see some reels, even Naval Ravikant said on
Naval
his,
Ravikant, yeah.
even he said on his podcast or something, there was a clip where he said that your PIN code of where you're living
Can determine how much you
can determine like the kind of opportunities you get and stuff. But even though that's important, there's also the part of what you can do, what you've learned, how you can apply it. It doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter, especially today, since you can work remotely.
Yeah.
You can do stuff online. You don't need to physically be in a place just to have a business there.
Yeah.
So yeah, if things don't go well and it turns out that the policies have changed in a way that I cannot become a permanent resident here, then it's fine. Go home.
But what so that's your attitude and that's my attitude too. I don't really care where, so hold on.
Yeah.
That's your attitude, but that's also my attitude in the same regard. But a lot of people don't share that sentiment because a lot of people have spent fortunes selling their property and land coming in here, trying to build a life. Because, hey, well, first off, I just want to make clear, Canada did not promise them a life. I get that. But they did happen to take that chance and move here. Now, for those people who don't have anything left back in India because they wanted to make new life here, now in their situations, what would you do? What would you do if you were in the situation like they are?
I don't think there's much to do. If the government decides that it doesn't need those that amount of people in here,
Yeah.
you accept what's happened. I don't really see what you can do. People protest. That's one way. It's a
Do you think
democracy.
that'll actually help though?
No, exactly. That's my point. It's a democracy. That's the best you can do. I don't think you have the power to do anything else.
Yeah.
I really don't. That's why if stuff happens, then yeah, we'll see. Comes back to my point about stoicism. It is what it is.
You just go with the flow.
It is what it is.
Right.
If
So
it's
I'm
not,
gonna
if it's not in your control, you can't really do anything about it.
Yeah. Right. So you've lived in Canada for how many years? 3 years now?
Yeah, more or less. Yeah.
What has been your favorite part about that? Not talking about your personal growth or whatever, like living physically here, like what's the thing that you will appreciate the most in the coming years?
In the coming years, or have appreciated?
Will, whatever.
I would say the environment.
The environment?
There is no pollution. I'm free to go for a run if I want to.
You go for a run in India too, but you're not just gonna get some shit in your lungs. That's all
yeah,
it is.
exactly. I cannot afford to go for a run there. I'll start coughing the second
you step out. I
No,
know.
yeah.
Like I said, I just got back from India. I know what you mean. So the final step before you put it in the oven, it's gonna be covering the whole thing with some foil. because you don't want the cheese on top to burn. We're gonna do that at the very end when we broil it. So until then, we wrap it up in some oil. The oven should be plenty hot by now. So this will take about 30 minutes. So while that happens, we can just take a seat and then continue our talk. What are your thoughts on personality types? That's a conversation that a lot of people like to have. So
yeah,
I think I do. So what do you know about personality types? Which ones do you usually like talk about when you're talking about one? Let's go.
Letting it here.
Yeah. Oh God, it's hot. It's not even that hot, but it's okay.
Yeah.
All right. Come on back up.
So
what are your thoughts on personality types?
Yeah, it's good. I think I've always been interested because I've always been interested in what kind of person I am, just trying to understand myself. So I think it's a nice gauge to see, gauge.
I'm sorry, I just have a bad habit of correcting people.
So it's a nice thing to see, or since it's basically based on research, so it's proven kind of. So it's nice to see where you land and also try to compare like whatever characteristics they've put in that particular personality type. Do they actually match with how you are? And I think it's good to, because whenever you talk to someone, if they've also done these tests, it's easier to try to understand that person if they are able to tell you their personality type, because you would be aware of some of the characteristics and the way they think, right?
Yeah, so I agree more about the part where how they think as much as the characteristic, because I have experience in my own results. I am an INTJ, yes, but I do feel I'm more expressive than most other INTJs. I just feel like I have the ability to talk a lot more expressively. I can like talk more about my emotions that most INTJs usually have some trouble with. For many of you who don't know about the personality types, if you know me, you probably already know because I probably asked you to take the test. But personality types, Myers-Briggs, as Ashni was talking about, started like more than 40 years ago. It's a lab-tested research. There's a lot of papers about it where a person is basically described in like 16 ways, where there are basically 8 personality types, and you choose between 2 alternating ones to find 16 types of people that are in the world. INTJs, which is my personality type, and Ashneet's, I believe, are some of the rarest types of people because we have the ability to talk about things that most people don't even pay attention to. So very minute details, and we can go on length about like random topics. It's also very interesting to me whenever I have a conversation with you, because I come up with like so many like things and like perspectives on things, but you usually would have something new that I wouldn't have even thought about.
I think it goes the other way around as well. I remember when we went for a walk when we used to live near Malpas. How long was that walk? Because we started talking about basically everything.
Like it's just like random stuff that we talk about, but it just keeps adding itself into like small details and then branching off. Like that's what kind of when we want to start this like channel or podcast too, because I like talking about random stuff with no end in sight. That's what a podcast is. The reason I called you upon was the same reason, because I know you can talk about stuff that I would find interesting and stuff like that. It's not so much of, even for me, like, it's not so much about like how people would react to the conversations we're having. To me, it's more or less about like presenting myself in the way that I am, being authentic. And then if anybody resonates with that, great. If not, I'm still going to be posting regardless of that. Because this doesn't take much work. I just put 2 stands on phones and then we start talking. That's all it is. But yeah, personality types, really interesting topic. I'd love to go in depth on this a little bit more, but I feel like we might lose some engagement there. So I am going to ask you some questions that are probably going to get some more viewers to stay. or maybe get some clips that people would want to watch. Okay. Is there a place either nearby or far away that you feel called to explore more in 2025?
I would probably say I really want to explore the northern territories.
Northern
That's-
Territories, like
Yeah,
up north in Canada,
yeah,
Nova Scotia and all.
yeah.
What made you want to decide those?
Just because.
Just
I
because.
know.
Just because.
I know. Well, I really want to see how people, live there, because it's not easy.
Oh no, it's
It's not easy.
It ain't.
Yeah. Watch the Northern Lights.
Oh, we
all
did.
that stuff. I know
We did
you
watch the
guys
Northern
did,
Lights,
because I
but
was
you were
asleep.
too busy for us.
I was asleep. I had to wake at 5 in the morning because I didn't have a car yet.
My condolences.
Yeah.
Right. So this would help me. So this next question is to understand like what kind of media you consume and like what sort of stuff do you usually like do when you have time to explore outside of your work. The question basically goes, if I wanted to learn something new that you think I don't already know, what would be the type of media, like any movie, song, podcast that you would want me to listen to open my horizons, learn something new, something that would make me a better person, or anyone in general listening?
I think if it's something that you wanna learn or explore more about in general, I would say Joe Rogan's podcast pretty good. But I know the kind of people he has, because the kind of people he invites, the kind
Yeah.
of people he talks to,
Yeah.
they're so different. That's the part that I like about his podcast the most, because otherwise you can find niche podcasts about your work or about any particular interest that you have.
Yeah.
For example, I do listen to finance podcasts, but that would be a niche thing, right? So
Yep.
in general, I would say Joe Rogan's podcast pretty good. I would say Lex Fridman's podcasts also pretty good. Lex Fridman, yeah.
Yeah.
But that's also kind of a niche, because he's very technical in the way he talks. the
Yeah,
way
he does.
Yeah,
It's
in
a
the
more
topics-
niche topic that he usually
Yeah,
picks up, right?
Yeah, in the topics he discusses, because he's also himself a research scientist in AI. So
Yeah, that's a tough topic.
That's technical stuff.
Tough topic indeed.
Very interesting, but yeah, super technical.
Oh yeah. What do you think about the relationships that you have with your family or your friends? Who do you think holds more weight in your life, your friends or your family?
I would say family.
Elaborate on that.
Well, there's the first relationships I ever had, and everything I am, I would say there's a bigger part that I am what I am because of them. Although, yeah, the people I've lived with, the friends that I have, they also have a big impact on me and the way I think. But I think the core comes from my family. So yeah, I think that's why that's more important to me.
Yeah, that's totally a respectable answer, honestly. Yeah. For me, it's kind of like a mixed bag because I am who I am because of my family, yes. But I turned out to be a better version of what I could have been because of my friends. Because the people that I did surround myself in the later years of my life, once I left my home, that had a bigger impact on me that I could ever ask for. Like my family, as much as I love them, like genuinely, like I would do anything for them. And I would still like give up anything in the world if they wanted me to like just come and be with them. I will. But my friends, on the other hand, are like people that I would give my life for. Like if one of my close friends were to call me up right now telling me, Sehaj, I need you to be here right now. Like even if he's on the other side of the world, I'm taking the flight tomorrow. It doesn't care. I don't care like what happens to me financially or whatever have you, what the repercussions are. I want to be there for my friend. That's the kind of friends that I look for when I am talking about things like too. And that's what I feel like many of my friends are like. So I never feel like I am putting too much effort into those sort of friendships or anything like that.
And-
For me, like family does take a big pedestal, but my friends are right next to them. It's never like one or the other to me.
Yeah, no, but I think the friendships that you were talking about that don't need much effort, those are the best kind of friendships. And I think those are the genuine
Yeah.
friendships.
Tell us about some of your friendships like that.
Well, there's a core friend group that I have from my school.
Yeah.
We guys have been together. We've been friends since nursery, since kindergarten.
Mm-hmm.
Still till date, we are friends, and I think that's the part. Since it's effortless, since we think in the same way, and I also was fortunate enough to meet similar thinking people as like you
Thank you.
here.
Thank
So I think that's why these friendships last such a long time. They can sustain different situations, and I think they really help you become a better version of yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, they do. Friendships, like I said, even for me in my case, like they help me become a person that I can be proud of. Like family is there to teach you all the basics in life. But your adult life, you spend most of that time unlearning some of the things that they did teach you.
Yeah,
And your friends help you with that.
it's also worth noting that the family members that we talk about, it's also their first time living their life.
Oh, exactly.
yeah.
Exactly. See, that's
So-
not a perspective a lot of people have. Like even I fucked up when I did not mention that. But that
Yeah.
is a really
So-
good perspective to have.
Yeah, so I just read this line the other day. So that's what made me think so much.
Yeah.
Because we think that sometimes we feel or we think that they've lived for
they have had a go at this and they already know what's right or wrong.
they've lived there 50 years. For example, in my case, they've lived 50 years of their life. It feels like they should know everything. They should have everything figured out, but it's
don't.
not the case. And
They're still learning.
exactly, and that is difficult to accept, because when you think, when you're confused or when you just need a suggestion, you try
want your
to
family to be
you
the
try
guiding
to go
light.
to them, but sometimes they might not have the correct
Answers.
answer,
Yeah.
or even have an answer. So, but that is fine, and that's what makes you think for yourself. That's
what fosters
where I think
ingenuity and makes you unique and all that stuff.
that's where the real growth comes from. I think.
Yes, that's a really good point.
Yep.
That's gonna be a TikTok reel.
It should. It's
Yep.
true. More people need to think about this.
Yep. What was the last time that you laughed out like crazy? Like could not stop laughing?
Okay, but I'm watching Silicon Valley, the TV show.
Yeah.
I think there are some very interesting characters in it. And
Uh-huh.
there have been a lot of times when I watch some of the scenes.
Mhm.
They're just too good.
They are. I haven't
I
seen it. Like I've seen the movie Silicon Valley from like I believe
Oh
1994
no!
to 2004 or
This,
something.
yeah,
That movie is brilliant. Like one of the best movies I've ever seen.
yeah. So this show is based on a startup that they're building, but it's too good. The characters they have, it's a unique show. That's what I would say.
Mm-hmm.
It's not your the show that you would watch for like Friends or Brooklyn Nine-Nine. It's pretty different. I think it has a good blend of technicalities that's around building a startup.
Yeah.
But it also has like the other stuff about nerds.
Nerds.
I mean, yeah.
Would you consider yourself a nerd?
Yeah,
You will?
I am.
What are you nerdy about?
I'm a nerd about a lot of things. I'm a nerd about, if we're talking about like knowledge or studies in general, I'm a nerd about finance. I'm a nerd about watches.
Yeah.
I'm a nerd about cars.
Those are cool things to be nerdish about, man.
No, but still,
that would be considered geek, not a nerd.
I would still call it a nerd.
I mean, I appreciate you welcoming yourself into our society, but like, I think nerds are a little bit more. How do I put this delicately? I am a nerd, by the way, so don't take offense to any of this. I do believe I am a nerd. But like, nerds usually would go into things like pop culture, you know, like Marvel, DC, comics, movies,
Oh, okay.
anime.
No.
Geeks are people who have extensive knowledge about certain topics, right? So that's something else. Nerd is a person who has deep, extensive knowledge on these useless, but not useless. I love them, but not as realistically applicable things.
Well, then I'm a geek then.
You're
Not
a geek.
then.
Yeah. So you outcasted yourself already. Okay, nice.
No, like if you talk about these movies and stuff, I am interested, but yeah, not
Not to that extent.
not to that level, not to
Don't
that
get me
nerd
wrong.
level.
Don't get me
not.
wrong. I'm geeky too about
Yeah,
cars, watches, and all that stuff. But maybe not to the same extent that you are. And you're not at the same level as I am when it comes to some of the other.
I agree.
We all have our own things, right? We all like to watch different stuff, and we all have our own interests. That's fine. That's what makes us unique. So this is okay. So let's talk about romanticism.
Okay,
What's your romantic life been like?
nothing much to talk about.
All right, I'll give you 30 seconds. Talk.
No, there is generally nothing much to talk about right now. I have.
What's your experience with love? Like we're not talking about any person. What's your experience with love? What do you think about love?
I think it's important. Love is important. It's I think it depends on the person when they feel that it's the right time to, because it demands time, it demands effort, it demands commitment. That's what I think. That's what I think how it should be.
That's how it should be, yes.
Yeah, but I think there's different stages in everyone's life when they feel that they are ready to make such a commitment, to put in that time required. I'm not at that stage yet, I think, but yeah, I think we'll find out when that stage comes.
I suppose you will.
Yeah, and it's not set in stone when it'll come. It might surprise me tomorrow. Who knows?
Maybe you will. Yeah. But do you see yourself like going out and seeking love? Does that ever happen to you?
No.
No. That's a good look.
No,
that's
not really.
I'm
no.
not like making this face or anything.
No,
this is genuinely a good reaction from you.
Yeah. No.
That's what I expect most people to answer, but that's not the answer I get.
I don't, because I think when, for example, if we talk about a person, like when you think you find a person like that you would like to explore that kind of stuff with, love with, I don't think you'll find the person that you should by seeking, or let's not say seeking, by just trying anything. Like that's not how
You
it
shouldn't
would
be
work.
seeking anyone. Is that what you're trying to say?
I think it won't work that way. If you're going,
What is the ideal way?
have your priorities straight before, because
Okay.
love, I think it's a thing, it's an emotion, it's a very strong emotion. So it might happen that if you go to seek out someone, even though they might not be good for you, you might be trying to mold yourself to maybe make yourself believe that they're good for you, because it's such a strong emotion. You might change your priorities, you might change the way you think, which is not good.
No.
But I've seen this with people. It has happened. So that's why I know. That's why I don't believe or like the idea of seeking out anyone just because you have to be with someone. Yeah, that's what I think.
You know what I think? I think love, first thing, should be innate. So it should come from within. So if a person is really seeking, like from your perspective, so if you're a person who's seeking out love, you're not going to find it, because you've probably all heard of that old saying, it's when you're like at the most comfortable point in your life, when you're not seeking love, is when you find love. So it made me think a lot about that particular thing, like why does that happen right when you don't want it anymore? And that's because when you're at a stage in life where you're content with where you are, who you are, you don't really care about like putting yourself out there in a way where you're not yourself. You will always be genuine to who you are.
Exactly.
You will find happiness in your own self. And that's what most people and most girls, like even guys, That's what they all find attractive. Whenever you find yourself like being attracted to someone, it's not going to be just because they're being an asshole to someone else. It's going to be because they bring a certain cheer into the room that they walk in. They have a certain command over the room. They command respect or whatever have you. Some quality in them makes you want to appreciate them. And a person who you can appreciate would genuinely usually appreciate themselves more than anyone else.
I agree.
That's the way that I think love works. For love to work, you have to be a person who can be okay with who you are. Like you love yourself so much that you don't have to go out and like look for anyone else to give you that feeling. That's what I think love starts with. And that's why like most people at our age aren't able to find that.
They struggle with it.
They struggle with it, definitely. Many people who do find it, I really appreciate them. Like I have some friends who found like they're the ones at a very young age. But for me, for that to happen, I have a long way to go.
Me too, yeah, I agree.
So that's what I feel like love is. Like you just have to like focus on yourself first, and when it's right for you and when the right people do end up clicking, it's gonna be magic, because love is magic.
And you'll know.
You'll know. You always know.
You'll know.
You'll always know. Even when you're chasing someone, you always have an idea that this isn't gonna work out, and there's a feeling in the back of your head that's telling you that it's not gonna work out, because there is a good chance that it's not. You're just forcing yourself to believe in something that does not exist. But when it's really there, you won't have any amount of doubt in there.
Yep.
You will know that this is what I want. And this is what they want too. And they'll make it known too.
Yeah, talking about that, it's interesting how our intuition works. I don't know the science behind it.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about it, like how it works. It just works.
It just does.
That's
sixth sense, right? That's something that a lot of people call it. But like, it is true. There's something about our gut feeling that I do believe does work. You should never go against it. You always know. Your brain is wired in a way where it knows what's wrong and right.
Yeah.
And even if it's like, there's an exception when it comes to addiction. But like your brain usually would know what's good for it and what's not. So just follow the gut feeling, follow your heart, which a lot of people say, but heart just pumps that. But follow your intuition, follow the feeling that you get inside. If it's warm, go for it.
Yeah.
If it's jittery, if it's butterflies in your stomach, probably avoid it.
Yeah.
You don't get butterflies when you're with someone you really like.
Yeah.
It's peaceful. It's boring, but it's nice. So, what have we talked about today? We have talked about politics. We've talked about friendships. We've talked about love. We have talked about careers. What about travel? What?
That's something I wanna start doing more of. That's something we can talk more about.
Okay, so tell me, what are your dream destinations to go to and why?
My dream destinations right now revolve a lot around where I can go and watch Formula One. So it will be I really want to go to Monaco.
Yeah.
That's the number one spot right now that I want to go to. Another one would be to go to Italy, to experience what it feels like watching Formula One in Italy when there's Ferrari fans.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. That's one of the best things about it.
Oh, Switzerland. I really want to go to Switzerland. Yeah.
Switzerland is great, yes.
Yeah, it's just there. It has spectacular scenery, but there's also another aspect of it of why I want to go there. I want to go see the workshops where watches are made.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Switzerland is up there for me too. That's one of the places I want to go visit in the next 3 years or something. But it is on the list. I just have to have a mental idea of how much I'm spending every year.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Switzerland's it's expensive.
It's up there. Yeah. What does travel do to you? That's a weird question. Yes, but if you know what I'm trying to get out of you, you'll know the answer.
I think for me, it's about freedom. That's what I feel like. It's about freedom. It's about exploring. It's about finding new places or seeing new places that you would have probably just looked at in other people's reels or maybe on your desktop's wallpaper.
Yeah.
But yeah.
What was your last experience traveling like? where did you travel, and what was like the big culture shock that you ended up experiencing?
I would say it was probably when I went to Australia.
Walk me through it. How was it? Like, what was different about it from what you were used to and stuff like that?
So it was different in the sense that going from India, it was a stark difference in the way people lived. Like for me, it was surprising to see people not caring about what they were wearing whenever they went out. It was because my dad's friends live there, and that's one of the things that is really different in New Delhi or in India in general, that you care a lot about what other people think that you're wearing. The car you're driving. Whatever.
See, that was the thing that we were talking about earlier, right? Where people are just trying to outdo the other person in front of them. So it's a lot about, like, it goes into everything: fashion, clothing, like your cars that you drive, the places that you go eat in, and all that stuff.
So I think that's the first thing that I noticed that was really different. That was probably one of the most surprising things that I saw. The other would be, in general, the culture or the structure of the families there. So it's the same in, I think, all of the developed countries, that it's not a big fat family, which we're used to.
So it's more more nuclear when you're going outside
It's more
of
nuclear,
India.
and I think it might have crossed the nuclear realm as well.
Now?
The nuclear realm is coming in India more now.
Yeah,
But I think in the Western countries might have crossed even that.
that's true.
Yeah.
Okay.
Might have gone subatomic.
Maybe, maybe.
That's what I think. I think family should be somewhere where you find comfort, where you find peace, where you find answers to questions, maybe. But it shouldn't be a reason for getting stressed out. It shouldn't be something that adds to the other stresses of life.
What do you think is the major reason of stress within Indian families? I don't want to talk about all families because that's not something we have experience with, but like Indian families, what do you think a major amount of stress comes in there from?
In Indian families, it's
Like even in your own personal experience, like what were some constraints that you and your family had to deal with, which led to some conflict within the family or anything like that? What were like the major drivers for something like that?
well, then I might be an exception, but I never had such significant conflicts with my family.
I'm not saying you're going to
Personally.
go and like cuss them off, but like there's always some
still.
tension there. Am I talking about my trauma on live, like thing, social media?
I'm not sure if it speaks to everyone, but I genuinely don't remember the last time I had a conflict that made me question about or think about my relationship with my family in such a way.
Just so you know, I'm gonna put a big label saying privilege on top of your head when you say this.
No, it's not privilege. It's I think it's understanding. It's just a way.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Look, I love that for you, but I also envy a little bit. I'm kidding. I love my family.
That's
good and all, like good and bad. I love my family. I'm just kidding for engagement. I hope you guys are still watching. I'm gonna get the lasagnas out now because I think they're almost done. Ay. This one's your buddy. This one's mine. Okay. And now we let them sit for 30 minutes. What role does social media play in your life?
just for I'd say half an hour of entertainment. That's what I treat it like right now. Yeah, because I don't think it solves, for me personally, I don't think it solves the purpose of me interacting with my friends. It doesn't really do that. I usually call them up. The ones here, we talk face to face.
Yeah.
The ones in India, I usually call them. I don't really do social media.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have been trying to lower my screen time in terms of social media because I felt like I think better. I think clearer when
you're not on social
I'm not
media.
mindlessly scrolling. That's what I think.
That's a good answer. That's what I also agree with, but happen to not be able to do.
It's difficult. It's
It
difficult.
is. So it's also like it's something that we all have like a lot of control over. Like you also have to understand like many of these social media platforms, like take it like Facebook, Instagram, X, whatever have you. They have a team of people who are working on making sure that most people stay on their
Exactly.
phones all the time.
Exactly.
They're using like psychology, they're using philosophy and everything to keep like your screen time as high as possible because that's how they make their money.
Yep.
So it's not something that's wrong with you if you're unable to get off your phone. It's also something that they're actively trying to like make more difficult for you.
Exactly.
So
That's why it brings back a quote that said, if something's for free, if
you're the product.
you're the commodity.
If
You're
something
the
uses
thing,
for free, you're the
product.
commodity.
You're the product.
Yes,
Yep.
that is right. Yeah.
Yeah, so talking about social media, I think one of the things that really made me aware about what I was doing and how much time I was spending on and how these things actually work in the background was watching the documentary Social Dilemma on Netflix. I think that was an eye opener because none of these executives in these companies allow their own children, well, at a certain age to get exposed to these websites themselves. So I think that really proves a point that they know what they're doing, they know what they're building.
Oh, it's like
They know what-
shit.
yeah.
It's some fuck shit.
Yeah.
You've seen? Have you seen the documentary on Netflix? And most people probably would have. It's the documentary of like how social media ruins us. Do you remember like the name of it? I kind of skipping on the name of it. The Social Dilemma, I think it was.
Yeah, that's what I said.
The Social
10
Dilemma.
seconds
Yeah,
ago.
I'm sorry. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what it is. That's the documentary. Like it shows you so much.
Yep.
I'm gonna cut that last part out.
You should. Otherwise, it shows that something's been happening to your attention span by scrolling too much.
See, this was all planned. I was the example here. What are your thoughts on God?
Okay.
Like, first off,
I know.
before you answer that,
Yeah.
there are some like pre-qualifiers question that you have to answer. Hey, do you believe in God?
Depends on what we're defining God as.
Say yes or
yeah.
no.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Second, do you think God created the universe?
In a way, yes.
In a way. Do you count yourself as completely religious, or do you have some other form of like ableism that you take, like atheism, agnostic, anything like that?
No, I think I'm religious.
Yeah.
I'm religious. Yeah.
Completely religious? Okay. So now, go ahead and explain who is God to you.
Okay, so I don't know much about other religions and stuff, but what I have learned in my own is that they've not, in our religion too, if you know it, there's not a particular thing that's defined as, it's not defined as a person, it's not defined as something else, it's not in any sculpture or something.
It's a divine being of its
It's
energy.
been defined as a divine, or I don't know if divine's a word that's been used. It's been defined as a power.
Yeah.
That's
Divine
the
power, yeah.
That's the main thing.
Yeah.
So if I come to your second point, that the second question you asked before, the pre-qualifiers,
Yeah.
about the universe being created.
Yeah.
So we don't know. Hell, no one knows
Yeah.
who created it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying if it's someone, but it came into existence, right? Still trying to find an answer. No one knows right now. But the way I think about it is in Young Sheldon.
Yeah.
If you've seen that,
I haven't seen the whole thing, but I have seen clips.
there is a clip where his mom is a spiritual person.
Oh, yeah.
In that show. So
Oh, yeah.
there, I don't know the entire episode what happened in that, but there's a scene where he says, if there was, like, he said that if there was, the gravity was slightly more than what it is,
Mm-hmm.
everything would have been crushed, by gravity.
Yeah.
If it was lighter, slightly lighter than what it is, everything would have been like
Not
flowing
possible.
away,
Yeah.
right? Floating away.
Yeah.
So that's what he said, and that's what I like about the phrase he says next, that even though there is no proof that there is a creator, even though there is no proof that someone created all of this, but we cannot like objectively deny the possibility that the way things are structured, the way they are so organized, everything's so harmonized, that we cannot deny the possibility that
It's
maybe
like the show.
maybe there's something that
Maybe someone did create it, right?
yeah.
I think
I still don't think that
the way
there
you
is
put it-
someone. I still don't think there's someone. I think it's just is.
Yeah. So you're Schrodinger's God.
Sorry?
You're basically a Schrodinger's God.
No.
Because you don't know what's going on in there, but anything could be going on.
It could be going on, but there's a reason. So whatever's not like, so how would you explain it?
See, the way that I look at this whole topic or conversation is that first off, I don't really fall under agnostic or atheism. For me, it's more or less about maybe it is true, but it doesn't really it's not something that would have any impact on me whether it is true or whether it's not. Because the way that I see about like how the world works and everything, when we're talking about the conversation that you just had, right? You're talking about like maybe there is a creator who built this whole universe. Maybe there's a universe who slightly tuned the gravity to be the way that it is and everything. Where does that process of thought come from? That there is a creator for something. When you look at a chair or when you see anything around here, you see this lasagna. We made this lasagna. We created this lasagna from scratch, right? That's a concept that's ingrained in our brains because whenever something reaches a point, there's like an outside force that works on it and creates something from scratch and builds it into something that you see. Why does it have to be the case for everything that happens? Why does the universe have to have a creator? Maybe it just happened to explode with the Big Bang. Maybe it just happened to be the way that it is. And if it is that way, why do I have to complicate it by making a creator for it? Why do I have to like put some sort of emphasis on it in a human level of understanding where I have to say that, hey, if this thing exists, someone has to have had created that like place to exist in the way that it does. Why do I have to force that like point of view into anything that I do? Why cannot something just be and why can I not just enjoy it? That's the way I see the universe or like the world or whatever have you. For me, God does play a big part in the way that I grew up. Because my family is very religious, they still are. They hate that I don't follow religion as closely as they do. I mean, they're gonna like cuss the fuck out of me because I'm wearing a cap and not with pagadi. But I have a reason. I cut my fingers. I could not wear the turban. But the reason I don't really like follow like any of the religions or like follow the God that close is because I don't feel like there's a like inherent need in me to like pray to something so that it may provide whatever it is that I'm looking for. I kind of believe that whatever is it that I'm gonna get in life, I would have to work for it. And isn't that what most religions tell you? Work and earn whatever you want to earn?
Yeah. Coming to the prayer point, I don't think that's if people believe that's the definition of prayer, I think they've got it wrong. I don't think so. You cannot just ask
for you and me and for whoever is listening. What do you think praying is for?
I think what I believe and what is in my religion and what I think is correct according to me is that it involves for the most part gratitude. Gratitude, being humble, accepting that you don't know everything.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's about it. I think gratitude is the main point there.
For me, like praying, or like when I think about the concept of God before even religion came into existence or whatever have you, right? Like maybe back when like humans were still not even to converse properly or whatever have you, but I would still imagine they were praying. Praying to me is seeking hope. Seeking hope that something that's out of your control does end up in your way and does end up turning out the way that you would benefit from it. That's what I think praying is for. Because everything like I see in media or maybe like the things that I've experienced myself via family or friends, praying has never been about, for many of them, it's never about like welfare of others, except for maybe my grandmother, who would always wish for like everyone's happiness. It's something that I feel like people have been, like made transactional. So it's always about like getting something from God, or maybe they'll provide you with the wealth that you wish to have so you could be happy. Maybe he'll provide you with the car that you're looking for. Maybe they'll help you clear an exam that you did not study for, like whatever have you, right? That's the general consensus of praying that I see in most people.
Then that's...
For me, I still pray. Let me make myself still clear. I don't believe in a God, but I still pray for everyone's happiness whenever I see anything significant happening. If I don't believe in any of that, I don't think my prayers are going to work or anything. But whenever I do end up going to a Gurdwara, whenever I see 1111, you know, like the fancy angel numbers, whatever have you.
I don't believe in that. So
I don't believe in that either. But I do, whenever I see it, I will always wish for one thing, and that is I hope everyone that is in my life leads a happier life. That's my one wish. That's the only thing I pray for, nothing else. And anything else I want in life, I will work for it. That's the one thing that I cannot control for everyone. But I do wish that everyone that I know in my life leads a happier life than they do right now. That's the one wish I make every day. So that's something that I do pray for. That's not something that I see in a lot of like religious contexts that you would find in lately. A lot of people have made it transactional. A lot of people just want to show off the kind of religion they follow and shit like that. That's not for me.
Because they lack awareness. No one's actually done the study. I wouldn't say study, or no one has the basic awareness of what they're following. That's what I think. And that's why they don't know what it means to, for example, let's say for example, do a prayer. Then they really don't know. They've just been following what they've seen, maybe in their families, maybe in their friends, maybe the way they think it works. So
see, like,
they're not to blame for that, but yeah.
This is something that I did watch in a podcast recently. Do you know like the comedian Ravi Gupta?
I'm aware of him, yeah.
Like long curly hair, talks in Hindi. I mean, many of the people that are watching this probably have seen him too. He was on a podcast and he was talking like about like what does like God mean to you? Someone asked him the same question that I did to you. So he basically replied in a way that he said, religion is supposed to be like followed, not looked after. So when he said that, like he said it better in Hindi or Punjabi, but I'm going to try to explain it in English as best as I can. But the general idea of his thoughts were that when you're following a religion, you're doing everything that religion states that you have to do, right? And that usually would mean you look out for others, you help others out, you keep your own peace, you always try to do the good for others. But those things are hard to do, especially in today's world, because then your negative emotions like your ego come into place, like a lot of other negative emotions rise up and don't let you follow the exact things that your religion would want you to do. But they all do things like follow up on it, which is that they pray, they do the pujas, they do the parts and everything, but they still go on and live their life in ways that they would not be like acceptable in their own religion if they were to actually do a deep dive and learn everything that's required of them. So it's become more of a cause of a convenience for a lot of people, even with religion. And I've seen this in my own life. A lot of the people that I have had the pleasure or displeasure of meeting in Canada, many of them Sikh Punjabis, they've been okay with cutting their hair, they've been okay with their beard. I have cut my beard too, I understand. This is, for me, it's more about convenience too. But again, I'm not like trying to follow the Sikhism protocol as deeply as the others. But they cut their hair and everything, but they then claim to be like the biggest Sikhism followers like you'll ever find. They have ingrained in their own heads that there is no one better than them at following their religion. But they don't even go through like the basics of it to understand as to what it's supposed to do, what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to help others more than anything else. But I've seen people more selfish than anything claiming to be Sikhs. I'm not going to target Sikhism itself. It's something that I see in every other religion. So you talk about peace, but then you also cuss off every person that you meet in the day. And then like some religions, they talk about like inclusive living, but then they're the ones that have like the most amount of like discrimination towards others in their own religion, which is something that boggles my mind, because this is something that I've once heard in that old movie, Oh My God.
Yeah.
The main character in that movie basically says, wherever there is religion, there is no space for truth. And wherever there is truth, there is no need of religion. That's what I feel like science and religion are a lot like too, which is why they both don't mingle as much. But yeah, personal beliefs aside, like I feel religion has done a lot of good for the world. I don't think any one of us would be in the position that we are in this world. I'm talking positives here. You would not be living in a society as big as this, where everything is easily available. Everyone can still go and find jobs and like just lead a happier life than we could have like maybe 2000 years ago without religion, because religion puts people in their place. Religion to me is the best way of controlling the masses. That's what I feel it is. It's not something that I mean in a negative way. It's something that I feel was necessary at the time. But over the years, I feel like the whole idea of religion has overtaken the reason for it.
I think it's just a lack of awareness.
Yeah.
People don't even know what they're following.
What they claim to be.
Exactly. So I think that's the biggest reason. That I think if even for once they actually tried to study, to try to learn what had happened, why things are the way they are, why things like why there are certain things in, for example, our scripture, right? That's when they'll know the value of this. That's what I think.
No, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
It's usually long after it's late that people realize what they were doing wrong. See, that's going to be the case for this video too, because we are about to end now. I don't know what parts that I messed up at, what's the things that I'm supposed to correct, but I will learn. By the time the next video rolls out, I'll have made the corrections. But speaking of, I think we are at the time where we have to call this whole thing off. The video has gone on for about 3 hours now. I'll have to cut a lot of it. Don't worry, like the cut parts will be out too sometime in the future. But for now, yeah. Good night, guys.
Good night.